This episode of the Paddy Wagon is brought to you by LawLaw.app. LawLaw is the best and fastest way for you to generate state-specific legal documents in minutes. Prenups, wills, trust, and more. No attorney's office visits needed. Their all-in-one platform guides you through the different scenarios to meet your needs. Be sure to use the code PADDYWAGON24 for 10% off your purchase. Hey everybody, pull up a seat. I have just topped off my glass. Why don't you grab your favorite beverage and join me? This is the Paddy Wagon. Welcome into the Paddy Wagon, everybody. Thanks for joining us as always. Let's see. Today we'll go through a list of things we know about this guest. And we'll start with former NYC improv comic, although I think when somebody's formerly a comic, they're always a comic, who picked up everything, moved out west to be one of them there internet guys. So from living in a vehicle to a garage and finally into a house for reasons we'll soon find out, went back on the road again. He is here to talk about his animated action comedy movie, which coincidentally enough is the same title as my favorite children's bedtime book. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Mooseman is here to talk about his movie, Cops versus Whores.
Oh, thank you very much. Nice to see you.
Did you know you stole that name from my favorite book as a child?
Cops didn't versus know Whores? That. I feel almost embarrassed. I thought I was being original, but all the good ideas are taken.
Yeah, I said, well, I've heard that before. That's funny. Yes, from the wee tender age of 3. So, well, pleasure to meet you, my man. And I will tell you this, audio only podcast. I'm going to put some clips out there if you're interested. This dude's beard is kick ass. Best I've seen.
Oh, best you've seen. Thank you very much. That's a compliment.
It's phenomenal, man. I love it. How long?
Many, many years. How long is it?
Roughly. Let's take a guess, or do you know?
I'm 6 feet tall, and it's down past my nipples.
He's got awesome beard and awesome nipples. That's got to be 12 to 14 inches, I bet.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. How long did it take to grow that?
I've had a beard now for like 10 years, I guess, 10 or 12. And I've never really cut it. It doesn't seem like it is getting any longer. So
I don't know if it just stops after a while. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I always had a beard. I don't know if I could grow one that long, but what I do know is I recently shaved and my 9-year-old daughter let me have it. She said, I hate your face.
Yeah, I've seen those videos online. Like, I almost never think about shaving, but a few times it's crossed my mind. And then I've seen those videos online. I got 2 small kids, and I'm like, yeah, I wonder if it would just melt their brains in a real bad way. That they would.
Dude, you could go shave and come back into the room, and I'd be like, where's Max? I was just talking with him. It's so weird. Growing the beard is gradual, right? But it's that when you take it off, somebody's always got a comment. My daughter, I didn't do it to be mean. I quite frankly I was just having a bad day. And I think I was eating and I kept chewing on the corners and it just felt that tug and whatever happened. I said, you know what, the hell with this shit. I'm getting rid of this. And then the second I shaved, I was like, I look like an asshole.
Yeah, I'm lucky. My wife loves the beard. She would probably be the most furious if I shaved it off. Yeah. Even if I cut it down, I think she'd be bummed out.
No, it's good, man. I like it. It's solid. So let's get this out of the way. Max Mooseman, real name.
It's my legal name. It's not my birth name.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Awesome.
So,
I love it.
Yeah, I'm adopted. So I've had 3 last names in my life, which is a little unusual, I guess.
Can you hyphenate 3? Has anyone ever hyphenated a hyphenated name?
I wonder about this for everyone who does the hyphenate, right? My wife took my last name, but how do you pass that tradition down? Like, because 3 generations, you're 6 names deep on the last name. Like, I guess this is what happened with, like, Spanish royalty at some point in time, and all those, like, Mexican names. It's kind of what they did, right? So it's not unheard of. But I do wonder about that. Like, when your kids get married, if you're a hyphenate, what the fuck do they do?
Yeah. Do they, and if they want to hyphenate it, yeah, man, there's a lot of, that's the way my brain works. Is we're sitting here talking about hyphenated names, and I knew we were going to be friends because that wasn't a weird comment to you. You were like, you know what? I was thinking about the same thing recently.
I thought that a bunch.
I love it. So you've had 3 last names.
Yeah, 3 last names in my life.
Oh man, that's interesting. Anything you care to talk about, or is that like, hey, you know what? I don't want to go there because that sounds personal in a weird way, but it certainly didn't mean it to sound that way, but no, it's because Mooseman's a great name.
Yeah, so Mooseman is, my wife always just called me Max Moose. So when I decided to change my last name, we were talking about what it might be. And like, we just thought that was kind of funny and a fun last name. And she was willing to take it when we were going to get married. So I was like, cool, let's do that. And the other 2 was I had the birth name of my biological father, and then I was adopted.
Okay.
And so I had the original last name and then changed last names. And then I don't get along with my family. And so when it came time for me to have kids, I was like, I want to like start a new line of people. Like I didn't really feel like I had my own clan, my own group or things like that. So I was like, I'll pick a name. I will go with that. And that's the name I will pass down to my children and hopefully start a new line.
Good for you, man. I love it. I love it. I love stuff like that. It's one of those things like, I want to say, I wish it wasn't like that, but know, sometimes unfortunate things lead us to where we're at. And we deal with what we're dealt and we make the best out of it. And it sounds like you're doing the same. So hats off.
And that early chaos all leads to some place where like, I love my family. I love my life. I love what's going on. So it's all good.
Oh yeah, brother. It leads to the name Max Mooseman. And it certainly leads to comedy because, you go to from former New York City improv comic, which I don't have regrets in life not going after something improv at least once just to give it a try because I think it looks like so much fun to try to think of something that spontaneous and just go with it.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing it. It's the time period I was there, like I feel like it got less wild and more culty, like as time went on, and it got like less funny and more just sort of like, I don't know, signaling that you had the right opinions or something like that along the way. So it got kind of like, it felt like less impulsive and less wild and crazy and all the things that I loved about it when I started signing up. But certainly like it's really exciting to get up there and like think on your feet and have that pressure. And when it works, it's just so much fun to have.
So I think a lot of people would probably think improv and their mind immediately goes to, what's it called? With Wayne Brady. Whose line is it
anyway? Yeah.
Right. Now, does that hurt or help improv in your opinion? Or neither?
Yeah, neither, I guess. Like, that stuff's funny. Like, I know a lot of people, there's short form improv and the long form improv. And short form is like those games that are Whose Line Is It Anyway, where they're like real tight premises and you just play the one little game. And then long form is more like watching extended sketches or even like a whole comedic play out. And people, at least when I was doing it, and this is like more than a decade ago now, people had real strong opinions. If you were a long form person, you were like required to hate the short form stuff, sort of thing. But
one of those deals, like Harley guys hating the street bikes and so on.
Yeah. Gotcha. But I guess now that I'm older and out of it, like that stuff is fun and funny, and people really enjoy it. So like it's and it builds a lot of the same sharp skills, and it's good. I never could do shows like that, mostly because those kind of shows are all meant to be family friendly, and I can't keep my filthy mouth shut. I can't.
I love it. I need to. I was talking with my wife, and I said I want to add a question to my intake form, and it's basically like, what's your sense of humor? Because I've had an author on here, I've had a few therapists, and you're not going to hear a lot of F words. Yeah, I want to be respectful of the people that don't want to talk like that. I'm going to be respectful of, hey, I'm going to have clients that listen to this because we're talking about this subject matter, which is relevant to the work I do. But I want to cut loose with a guy like you. So I was thinking of kind of like, oh, golly gee, I'd never swear. And fuck yeah, sign me up. And just like having somebody check the box just to see what kind of works for them. So I'm going to do that.
Should I try to watch my mouth a little bit?
No, fuck no.
Okay.
I was going to say, watch your fucking mouth. Don't swear. I used to say to people, they'd say something, they'd swear, and I'd say, watch your fucking mouth. I go to church every fucking Sunday. And they'd go, wait, what?
Yeah, I've gotten better about it. I think moving out of the East Coast and coming out West, like, people swear a lot less out here.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not like people are, like, real sensitive about it, but people are just way less aggressive and rushed, and swearing in general. Like, I grew up in New England, so like every other word is fuck. Yes. Like you think with the word fuck. Like,
I work with a bunch of Bostonians, and not only do you think with the word fuck, you get to hear it in that beautiful accent too, which makes it even better. Where were you from?
So I was born in Massachusetts, a little north of Boston, and then my family moved to southern New Hampshire.
Okay, awesome.
Which is Boston light. Like,
I was going to say, we have a lot of people that commute and it's back and forth, and all the states really small up there, and everyone commutes to the state near them sometimes, and so on. So,
are you on the East Coast?
I am. Yeah, I'm in Pittsburgh.
Oh, right on.
Well, yeah, East Coast-ish, I guess.
Yeah, it's the East Coast. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we'd call it East Coast.
I like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh surprised me. I didn't know anything about it. And we only spent a few days in Pittsburgh while we were... my wife and I traveled around the country in a van for a while.
Oh, nice.
And Pittsburgh was, like, really cool looking. Like, it was a really, like, fascinating looking city to me.
Did you have the pleasure of coming through the tunnels? That's a no. I could tell by your face.
Yeah, I don't remember the tunnels.
So you're on the highway, and it's just highway, and then you go through a tunnel, and when you come out of the tunnel, it's like you went into another dimension. You can look it up online. It's called the Fort Pitt Tunnel, and I recommend it. And any of the listeners that want to do it that have never been to Pittsburgh, it is just this, like your breath is taken away. You come in over the Monongahela, and so there's the Monongahela, the Allegheny, and they meet and form the Ohio River. And so you come out, and the point is right there. You've got the city, and it's just, where did the city come from? It's hard to explain because you're coming down a hill, and there's a mountain. So when you go through it, it is a completely different landscape and picture than you saw 13 seconds ago.
That's really cool. No, I think I'd remember that. That's
what I was going to say.
Yeah. But it's really like very hilly, right? And like a lot of like old buildings, things like that, right? Yeah.
Yep. The house is built into the hillsides too. Like when you're driving, you're like, that looks like that's going to fall down.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was just really neat. I didn't know what to expect. It's like that out here too. I live in Idaho now, and Boise, it used to be this big secret. It's kind of gotten out now.
I've heard a lot of places out there are kind of fucking Yellowstone, right? Wasn't that it? Yellowstone, that show fucking ruined everything.
It was mostly COVID, like all the we were already getting kind of overrun by people from California, but then it got crazy when everything shut down because things weren't really shut down out here. So all the people from California just like bombed out here, and we just like our housing went up, like when you get out of the city, housing went up like 400% or 500%.
Wow. I guess that's good if you own the house, right? You're like, cool, my property value skyrocketed.
Yeah, except I mean, if you sold it, you still have to live someplace.
Yeah, that's the thing now is when you go to sell, you're like, well, I still got to buy one of those expensive ass houses now. Yeah, so it's just like stay where you're at.
Yeah, but Boise is cool because the highway runs through the desert. So Idaho is the southern portion is all desert. It's high desert, so it's high elevation but desert. So sort of like sagebrush, these really cool like deep canyons. So you'll be going along what feels like flat land, and then you'll like just like approach a deep gorge, like that, like you won't see coming. Like
that's good for people like me who are scared to death of heights.
Oh man, yeah, you would not enjoy it out here. All the roads when you go out to the city have like these massive drop offs on the side, and we get snow, so it's sketchy as fuck. And then the north is all we have foothills going into the Sawtooth Mountains, and then we have deep forest and everything like that. But when you're coming through to Boise, the highway runs along through the desert, and the first time I came into this city, it was like, okay, you're 5 miles away from the city, and it's like you're 3 miles away from the city, you're 2 miles away from the city. I'm like, where is it?
Where's the city?
Yeah. And then you come around this one desert corner, and like there it is, and it's got like, it's full of like flowering trees, and it's like a really like rich, nice area. Like when you come through, it's beautiful, but you're right on the edge of it, and you just think you're still in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, I always, I don't know what it is. I think I'm fascinated. I've only been out west a few times. I've been to California, to a few different cities, been to Vegas, been to Reno, Tahoe. So, but when I think of cities, and Boise is definitely one of them, you just want to see what they look like. There's something that's fascinating to me about that landscape where they're either surrounded by nothing, or you're in the city and you look outside the city and you just see mountains in the background, like something in New Mexico or, Vegas, just anything where it's just.
If you want that feeling big time, go to Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake.
Those mountains, sitting in those cities and that proximity to those mountains, it's incredible. It's
okay.
They're, because here they call them, I would call them mountains for like being from the East Coast, but they call them foothills because the mountains are serious. So these are, considered just foothills. They look like mountains to me, but when you get up in the Sawtooths and everything in the Rockies, it's those are just really impressive. And I've been through them once. I got to go when I proposed to my wife. We went on a little Cessna plane.
Okay.
There's a big area called the Frank Church Wilderness. Most of Idaho is public land. And so out in this wilderness area, you can only get to it by plane or by horse. And they have like a little wilderness runway strip, and they have this sort of, it's not a resort, it's like 6 wooden buildings, but they have their own hydropower out there, and you can fly in there and land and then eat like a breakfast out there and just like walk around the property and see horses and stuff. But the flight out there, you fly in between the mountains. You're flying through the Sawtooths, and you're in this little plane, so you are just deep in between these giant structures of mountains, flying in between the mountains in this tiny plane. It's
how
incredible.
Comfortable or uncomfortable was that experience?
I loved it. I thought it was the coolest thing.
Which means your wife did not love it.
No, she's down. My wife's crazy.
Okay, the way you said that, it was like, well, I had fun.
Yeah, no, I can see why someone wouldn't have fun. Like, it's not, like, there's definitely moments where you just look around like, man, like, this could go south really easily.
Well, I'm glad it didn't. Man.
Me too. But yeah, I'm obsessed with the West. I didn't leave the East Coast until I was like 27, basically until I met my wife. And the first time I came out here, I guess, how old are you?
I am 45.
Okay. I'm going to be 40 in 2 days. Holy shit.
Nice.
In 2 days.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. So I was almost 27, and for growing up on the East Coast and how I grew up, like, overpopulation was this thing that was like hammered in my head. Just like, and I kind of believed that small town New England was like as small town as it got, and that the whole United States, at least, was about that crowded.
Yeah.
And the first time I came out and saw the vast openness and of everything, like, that was it for me. I was like, oh, I'm never going back. I didn't know this was here. Yeah,
you feel like you're discovering it for the first time, like nobody else has ever laid eyes on it.
Yeah. I mean, I truly didn't think it existed. I thought it was a relic of the past and that the country was pretty full, which for anybody who doesn't know, maybe it seems obvious to most people, country's really, really empty.
It's really empty. Well, you look at a map, and I mean, even if you look at one of those maps or the globe where they show it at night.
Yeah.
Where it's got the light pollution.
Yeah.
Light pollution maps are pretty cool. And you can just tell, you're like, wow, look at all that dark.
Yeah.
And those are all little towns. Those are all nothing. Those are all, it's empty space. But your experience is a lot like mine. And I'm going to guess that the first time I was out west, granted it was Vegas, but still when you're flying out there and you're looking down, I was going to say I was around 27, I think.
Okay.
And I just for hours you're in this plane looking and you're like, I haven't seen shit beneath me except for mountains and nothing. Yeah. So our experiences are very similar with me growing up East Coast. And then when I got out there for the few times I've been out there, we went to Sedona and it was like we were there for 10 minutes and I was looking up real estate. I was like, I want to move. Like, this is incredible. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
And I tell everyone to go. And I think California was another one where when you don't know California and, let's just say this, I don't get political and we're not going to, but there's the opinion that I think people think California is just a big Los Angeles, which butts up against San Francisco, which butts up against Oregon. And it's just like, just liberals marching everywhere. It's just like a big city. And then you get there and you're like, this place has more farmland than anywhere I've ever seen. It's so wide open. It's so vast.
Yeah.
That it was just like, wow, that's not what I expected at all. Because again, that East Coast mentality where you just think, well, California is so populated. And well, no, it's got a few populated cities, but other than that, it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. Big, empty, gorgeous. Yeah. All of it out here. So anyone who's listening, watching, if you haven't had a chance to experience the American West, I cannot recommend it highly enough.
Get out and go. Get out and go. I agree with you, man. So, are you joining me with the beverage today?
Oh, yes. My beverage is coffee.
Coffee.
With me.
Always coffee with you?
Yeah, I drink coffee relentlessly now. Nice. I have walked the normal path of someone who drank way too much, and now I'm strictly nicotine and coffee.
Nicotine and coffee. There you go. There you go. Any particular coffees you enjoy? Did you drink them black? Like, what's your style?
I drink just black coffee. So when I went on my first date with my wife, I was, I think, 26, and I had never had a cup of coffee in my entire life. I hated coffee, thought it was gross. And she was my first ever online date, and her profile said, you must drink coffee, and she was like obsessed with coffee. So I lied, and we went up for coffee, and I choked down this disgusting cup of coffee. And and then we hit it off really good, and I had to keep it up, this lie.
That's love, man. That's what love is.
And then I got addicted to it. And so I drink it black because I still think it tastes pretty gross, and I want as much of the drug as possible for the taste. So
how long before you told your wife, you're like, listen, babe, this charade's got to fucking end here?
Probably like a year, but I was already like, I was hooked. I have an addictive personality, and so once the drug gets into me, I tried to quit. My first kid was born. He was really colicky, and my wife was getting all these suggestions from doctors of things to try to do. And one of the things she had to do was like quit coffee to try to get not caffeine in the breast milk or something like that. And I did it in solidarity with her. And after like a week, she's like, "Please, I know what you're trying to do, and I appreciate it, but go drink coffee. Like you're miserable.
A fucker. Drink coffee, dude."
Yeah.
Yeah, I got hooked pretty early. I there was like a coffee club at work, and I just, we'll pitch in money, and then okay, it's your turn to pick up the coffee, and you get the creamer, and you get this, and I felt like I was not a part of something, but I hated coffee, and so I did. I would drink coffee, heavy cream, heavy sugar, and then it was like one day there wasn't cream, so it was just coffee and sugar, and then the next time there wasn't sugar, so it was just coffee and cream. And I said, I'm going to try this black. And once I got that taste, it was the drug where I was like, wow, this is fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then nicotine. I smoke usually a cigar a week with my buddy who did all the music for my movie, and then And then they're like Zins, but they're mints, so they dissolve. I have these things.
Oh, interesting. Are they Zins or is it a different brand?
It's called the Knick Knack Naturals.
Okay.
They're like a small company out here. They're in Oregon. They're like real close
Okay.
to where I'm at. And yeah, it's the same thing. Like you put it up like just like a Zin, but instead of having like the nasty pouch, it just dissolves away. So it's like a flavor thing. And I like them because you can get the highest milligram and you can like snap them because they're mints. So you can like, instead of, you don't have to take it all at once. I can like snap off like.
What's the smallest dose you can get from that? One?
I guess if you wanted to, it'd be pretty hard. I would say probably like two milligrams would be more like it. They have them in smaller milligrams, but at the same price. So I just get the 6 because I'm cheap, and then I can snap it off.
Yeah, I'm looking for nicotine tampons apparently for me because I'm such a pussy. I like to smoke cigarettes when I golf, and my friend has a Golden Tee machine at his house. And
What's that?
If you've ever been to the bar or at one of the restaurants with the little golf game where it's like got that roller ball.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So he has one of like the actual arcade version at his house in his game room, which is a blast. We'll go over and we'll cigars and bourbon and cigarettes. And I was just like, I don't want to smoke cigarettes, but I want nicotine. And so I said, all right, quick Google search, how much nicotine is in a cigarette? And they're like, 3 milligrams. And I'm like, shit, I can do that. And then I look up the nicotine pouches, the Zyn pouches. And they're like, 3 milligrams. I was like, I can do that. And then I took a Zyn and I was on my ass, dude.
Yeah, they fuck you up. It's crazy.
They really do. And then just a couple weeks ago, I was with a guy. He popped 3 6 milligrams in his mouth. So he had 18 milligrams going at once. And it didn't phase him at all. He's like, dude, I used to chew forever. I was like, well, that much is apparent.
My neighbor's like that. I've literally gone over there with him, and he pops 6 milligram Zins like they're fucking candy all day long. I went over there with him to smoke cigars on his patio with him, and we're smoking a cigar, and he puts a fucking Zin in.
Give me an upper decky to go with this cigar.
Yeah, bro. It's like 11 o'clock at night. He's got a bunch of kids at work the next day. I'm like, how in the fuck are you going to sleep?
He's like, I'm not, damn it. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Wow. It's one of those funny things. I played softball with a guy who would take almost an entire bag of Red Man, like that side whack.
Yeah.
And he'd chew almost an entire pack of Big League Chew grape, and he'd get it into this big ball, and he'd wrap all the chewing tobacco inside the bubble gum, and then somehow fit that whole damn thing back into his mouth. I'm like, dude, you should be on the street making me money. Like, I've never seen a man stuff that much in his mouth.
Bro.
But yeah, it was disgusting.
That is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. Every fucking game, this guy did that. So shout out, Petey, if you're listening. You're a sick bastard.
Yeah, dude. Petey, what the fuck?
Well, I'm not having any coffee, although I'm like you. I could drink coffee in bed before I go to bed and sleep fine. Doesn't affect me in that way. But I'm having a beer tonight. I had some leftovers from St. Patrick's Day, so I've got a Smittix, which is just a red ale.
Yeah, I know Smittix.
Didn't feel like hitting the bourbon or the whiskey tonight. So. That's where I'm at, and I'm about halfway done. So cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers.
Glad you're on.
Thank you.
So let's see. What got you started before we get into the real reason why you're here? Improv. Like, what got you into that scene? And was it part of the plan, or was it just like, hey, fuck it, I'm going to try it?
So I loved stand-up comedy in high school and everything like that, and then when I got to college, there was someone starting an improv comedy group and having auditions. And do you know of the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater?
Oh yeah,
in New York City. Yeah, so they used to have this show called Ass Cat, which was like Sunday nights, and all like the it was a free show, but you had like wait in line, camp out, and stuff. And all like the famous people would be in Ass Cat, so you get all the people from Saturday Night Live and things like that. And I started going to that with my friends, and I had a friend in particular. She was like really interested in making movies, and so was I, and we both kind of got into that together and just started going to see it and just being around that, and really loved it. And then so we had the troupe on my college campus, and then we ended up hiring a coach from the city, and then I just got involved in the theaters from there and started taking classes, and it just kind of became my social scene.
Okay, nice.
And doing that, and then I got really sucked into it, really loved it, and just stuck around for maybe 7 years in the city doing that. And then I met the woman who would become my wife. And by that time, I was pretty fed up with being so intensely poor in New York City.
It's a bad place to be poor, isn't it?
Oh, it's brutal.
Poor's bad anywhere. New York City and California poor, that's a different level
I was
of
down
poor.
to the point where my main source of nutrition was Bisquick with a few chocolate chips thrown into it if I could afford it.
Damn. Yeah. I thought we were going. I thought ramen was going to be the next word out of your mouth. Now, will you eat Bisquick?
These days, no. No. I got
Someone
really
makes
good at
pancakes,
cooking.
You just start convulsing.
And really good at, that's one of the interesting things of moving on the road. We were also really broke when we finally moved on the road. So my wife was still in college when we met, and I moved out to Washington, Eastern Washington. So if you imagine Seattle, the opposite, the desert, Washington is also really big.
Is that like Spokane East? Or is that not way further out?
No, close to Spokane.
Okay.
She had a couple of years left, so we lived there, and then when we hit the road, we were super broke. The whole thing was an adventure. So we started doing like a variety show on adult webcam sites. And this was like before Twitch, before there was anywhere else to broadcast yourself except these adult webcam sites. And we were sort of like hippie, wild people there, and we had wild friends. We started doing that in this like shitty house with no air conditioning in the desert, just sweating our asses off. And then we hit the road and we did this thing called war driving, which probably doesn't exist anymore because it's not necessary. But war driving at the time, you couldn't get internet in most of the country, and you couldn't get certainly not like wireless signal, and you couldn't like do video with your phone or anything like that. So we would get a high-powered Wi-Fi antenna, and we would like drive around Starbucks and things like that at night after they closed, and figure out where their router was, and then park close to the router so that we could get good enough signal to like broadcast our pirate show.
Was this back before everyone had the encryption and just Wi-Fi was wide open?
It was just open.
Dude, that's... I'm thinking of like the fucking Matrix with like the pirated fucking signals.
Yep.
That's incredible, dude.
Yeah. So we geared up in all in black hoodies one night, and we snuck onto the roof of the McDonald's to do a show. And nobody knew about this, so like no one was looking for it. So you could just get away with it, going place to place to place in parking lots and doing these shows. But anyway, eventually that all petered out because we needed to go south for the winter. Our first winter was coming, and we ended up going down to Mexico. And then we were buying weed from the wrong people, and the cartel invited us to leave Mexico.
Oh my God. You're not getting... Is this... Do we not talk about this? Because it feels like a comment I shouldn't let you get away with just mentioning and then onto something else.
No, we can talk. I don't think we're a big
put it this way,
player.
The fucking cartel might not be listening to my show as much as I want them to.
I'm not saying which cartel.
Please fill me in just a little more because that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so we were staying in this like villa in this sort of poor neighborhood, but they had this sweet spot that we could afford, and we had internet, so we could make money down there. And a whole series of things went wrong at once. So we had kind of partnered up with this guy who ended up being involved in the Silk Road. We met him in Florida, and he gave us some money to go down to Mexico. And then while we were down there, we were buying weed. So they have rules, like you can only buy weed from the cartel. And we were big, huge potheads back then. And they had the shittiest weed. And
it seems like they shouldn't.
the worst. Just all sticks
fucking
and
seeds and stems.
Yeah, all of it. It's just like, I'm like, is this fucking 1980? What the hell are we smoking? And it was cheap, you know, like you could buy it by the pound, and like I had pictures of me like wearing it on my head and stuff. But there were other people who had not nice, but nicer weed down there. But you were not allowed to buy from them. And we were warned a couple times, and we tried to be like, well, you sell us nice stuff. And they're like, this is nice stuff. And we're like, no, it's not. And they're like, yes, it is. So we were warned. And then one morning we woke up and found that there was like 20 armored cars parked out front of our villa. And all these men with automatic rifles standing and just looking up at our balcony. And they just hung out there for a couple hours, and then they left.
How scared were you? Or was it just something you were aware this is a thing and we're going to be okay?
I wasn't crazy scared yet because I was high enough to convince myself that maybe it's not for us.
I think it's the guy downstairs they're looking for with all the fucking cats.
Yeah. And then I think the next night or 2 nights later, we woke up and someone had broken in while we were asleep and stolen all of our equipment, all of our stuff, our entire way to make money down there. Stole everything. Just robbed us blind while we were asleep. And then when we went out to like talk to people and see if we could like figure out who maybe did it, like it was made pretty clear at this point, like maybe you should just leave. And so then I was pretty scared.
Like you should go now. Like there's really nice ways to say that, and that sounds like a really nice way because if you've kept up on the cartels, they don't seem like they're doing warnings anymore.
No, well back then they called Americans the golden eggs, and like the DEA is like the giant. And so you don't steal the golden eggs because then you piss off the giant. And so like you don't fuck with an American unless you absolutely have to. So they'll fuck with everybody around us and they'll make our lives miserable. But at that point in time, they weren't really willing to like go past intimidation, it seemed.
Yeah.
But it worked. So we tried moving locations, and then as soon as we moved, like the next day, someone had like smashed our water line, and we had no water, and it flooded the whole front of the property. And at that point we were like, okay,
all right, we're gonna see
go
what north feels like.
So we just packed up all our shit. Like we made like a giant bindle sack out of like some fucking canvas we had around.
That shit you saved, you're like, we may need this one day. Your wife's trying to tell you to throw it away, and you're like, babe, I don't want to get rid of this. Just trust me, this burlap sack could be useful.
And so we bussed and cabbed it back across the border, and then we crashed on a viewer's trailer floor for a couple months. But how I got on this subject is then another woman who also did adult webcamming, she was raised on the road by like a gypsy mother in Colorado, and they invited us to go stay on the horse farm she was managing, and then that woman taught us how to not starve to death. So
nice. Useful skill.
Yeah, so she taught us how to actually like survive and live on the road and like find food and afford it and all this stuff. So my Bisquick days are long behind me because it's one of the things I'm always grateful for. Like now we make a pretty good living and we're pretty resourceful, but like I've sort of seen what bottom looks like in America, and it's just a matter of education. If you know how to do it, it's actually like not crazy bad. Like,
you know, I wish more people would just figure it out like you guys did, because there's a lot of ways to get by, and I just think people aren't resourceful, or they choose not to be. There's just something that I think a lot of us just are missing. And you're like, the answers are out there. If you open your eyes, you can figure some things out.
And pride kind of fucks with you a little bit too.
Oh,
like,
yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah, because like, you know, the idea of like going to a food bank, it was like, I don't know, I had this thing of like, oh, I'm better than that. But it's like, well, I'm a fucking alcoholic. I'm a drug addict. and I have no money and I have no job. Like, no, I'm not like, maybe I can build myself up to be better than this, hopefully. But like right now, like this is who I am. This is what my life is. Like, come to terms with this and take the help.
Yeah. Like, and you know what? When I get on my feet and when I'm better, I'll donate some money to that same food bank or donate some food to that food bank.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, just full circle, man. Yeah. Because then there's going to be somebody else that needs the same thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I try to like talk about it openly because it was fucking terrifying. It was terrifying and so stressful. And then to figure out that like, it's actually, it's pretty easy. Like all things considered, like if you just get out of your own way, like there's ways to make it work and then there's also time to like build yourself back up and get to a place that it's like where you are more comfortable and where your life can be better. You still have to like do work to get there, but it's but yeah, so now when we talk about stuff or make decisions like starving or anything like that, it's just not something I worry about because it's just not a reality in America if you know what you're doing.
Exactly. So that's okay. So question for you. You talked about how you got your shows out there, and you referenced adult sites and adult cam things, but it didn't sound like you were doing that type of stuff. It sounds like you were doing the comedy stuff, or you were doing like shows. Did I hear that right?
At first, it was a mix of both. So we were wild. We were doing the whole like I guess swinger thing. We tried all of it. Now we are like just. I thought I was wild, and then we tried all this shit, and we met a lot of wild people, and I was like, I'm not wild.
We had a young lady on that was into that lifestyle, as they call it. They call it the lifestyle.
Oh, yeah?
And it was like, yeah, man, I've had some pretty wild Saturday nights, and then you hear that shit, and you're like, I'm a fucking choir boy compared to some folks.
Yeah, and that whole has no bottom, so as wild.
So I've heard.
As I've been, like I don't regret doing anything but then we started doing, we did a lot of, we've only ever worked together, but then we ended up doing like a lot of like more traditional like porn clips, kind of things like that online. And that ended up being very fortuitous for us in a weird way because we got offers to buy out our stuff to like work for studios and things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
And we just never did. We just kept our stuff and never sold it. And now all that stuff like pays the bills and like has been paying the bills for like a decade now.
Awesome.
And so yeah, and then we just sort of built off that to like we've done podcasts. We did the first ever animated live cam model. We made the first live animated cam model.
Okay.
We did that for a while. So like those VTubers and stuff like that, we did at least the first one in America, as far as I know.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Very cool.
And
you, dude, I feel like this is one of these ones you guys, this is gonna be a 5-hour episode. Like, this is cool, man. I didn't know we were gonna be hearing about cartels and all types of good stuff.
If you need me to focus at any point in time,
no, I don't need you to focus. I don't.
Right.
That's the last thing I want to do. My God. That is amazing. Yeah, it's one of those things, like I said, even just listening to you, where I'm thinking, like, I had fun, but I didn't travel a lot. That's the one thing I regret. And I always think about the people that just get in a van or get in a car and they just go. And part of me wishes I did, because you guys have the coolest stories, and you've seen the most shit, and you've lived the most, and you get to meet the most people. And there's just something that's intriguing about it, at least to me, but I feel probably like people that just never had the courage to do it. Would you do it all over? Would you do it again?
Not the same way. So we are right now. So now I have 2 kids, and like I said, like we have a monogamous relationship. I haven't filmed anything, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. And my wife does very mild stuff now, and mostly is just social media promotion. She's always been kind of an exhibitionist, and that part of her personality like stuck.
Okay.
But like the harder core stuff, we're both just sort of older and over it and not into it anymore. And we are now taking. We just bought. I have sitting right behind this window here a 20-foot pull behind trailer and a 15-passenger van. And we are in September gonna go live out on the road full time again with our kids.
Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Yeah. But now it's like we have the benefit of the experience, and our whole map of the whole thing looks completely different. Our whole plan looks completely different. The entire way we're approaching it.
And the benefits of a bank account.
Yes, money is
it's very helpful when you need it.
Yes, it is. So yeah, it's one of those things where like, I don't regret it, but I would never recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
Like I think like any hard thing in your life, right? Any hard, challenging. I have a friend who calls it type B fun, right? There's like type A fun, which is just obviously fun, and there's type B fun, which like sucks in a way, but it's like fulfilling and
you make the most
fun
out of this shitty situation type thing.
Yeah. And so like for one, in terms of like, I can't really speak to anyone else's relationship, but I have zero questions about how rock solid my marriage is. Like, we were absolute dirt fucking poor living in a van together. Like, you don't get more trial by fire.
Very true. That is love. That is true love. You can literally say we've been through it all together.
Yeah, so we've had all the fights, everything like that, and we just like we know each other so intimately well, and like so that I'm really grateful for that, because like it's just not something I question or wonder about or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. For most people, it's like yeah, I would never recommend it, and and the perspective is always one of these things where it's like, I think you are who you are. And right. I have some level of jealousy of people who can get up and go to work every day and like be stable for their people and be there for their family and like earn that living and come home and like have their tight friends that they've had for a long time and keep those relationships and everything like that. There's like part of me that like looks at that and is like awed by it and like so glad it exists because part of me wants to be able to do that. Like every job real job I've ever had, I have completely like burned out, melted down, like completely like lost my fucking mind at. And it's like, not like I think that like makes me like a cooler or more interesting person for having done that. Like I think there's something wrong with me that I can't.
There's something wrong with us all, brother.
Yeah. Like, but like, I think the world is made up of different characters and we all have like our different roles to play. So it's just like at some point, like now coming up on 40, it's like, okay, like, whatever this is who I am. And so like, if that's not where you went, it's just not who you are. And so it's not like, if you think it's like some big adventure and like a ton of fun, like, no, it's not. It's still life. It's still like
your stories are different than mine. That's really what it comes down to, is in the end, when we sit around and we share some details and some stories, yours are going to sound way cooler to me. And maybe, like I said, because I'm the 9 to 5 guy. Okay. And I'm sitting here going, fuck this shit. Like every Friday, I'm like, fuck yeah, man. And then Monday comes. In fairness, I love my job. I really do. I say if you don't mind your job, then you're in a good spot.
Do you talk about your job on here? What do you do?
I'm a recruiter. So, yeah, I recruit for a pretty big scientific company.
Oh, cool.
Don't get into details about where I work just because I like to swear. Although I don't think it would be a big deal. I don't think I've ever done anything that would be frowned upon, but it's one of those things.
And you like to talk to the likes of me.
Yeah, so. keep it separate. But no, I recruit people, so I get to talk to a lot of people, not only on the podcast, but every day of my life. I talk to people from all over the world, definitely all over the country. And cool. It's just fun. It's fun to get to talk to people and learn about them and, hopefully help them find jobs and what they want to do. So,
when we get offline here, if you don't mind, I got a buddy. I'd love to ask you a question about that.
Yeah, please. That's what I'm here for, my friend. All right. So, all right. Well, so you obviously have a very supportive and loving wife, because I want to know, and it's a group effort, I know that, but who's the brainchild behind next year's Oscar frontrunner, Cops vs. Whores? What inspired this? Like, where did this come from? Because it is so absurd. And I mean that in a complimentary way. Like, anyone that's just willing to fuck it. This is this crazy. We're doing it. I love it. I respect it. It's what it's all about, is just doing it. So lay it on me, man. How did this come to be?
Yeah, so maybe I'll tell a little bit about what it is, and then I'll say where it came from. So, Cops vs. Horrors, Volume 1 is out now. So it's
I'm going to giggle every time you say it. I'm sorry.
That's the point. My wife is the brainchild of the name. I had a way worse name, and she came up with Cops vs. Horrors, and I was like, you're a genius. Thank you. That's a great name.
Care to share the old name?
I think my working title was Fuck the Police.
It's been taken by many, many rappers. So, yes, Cops vs. Horror was the winner.
Yeah, much better. So it's an animated movie. It's about this sort of vaguely post-apocalyptic world where there is this police chief who runs this city on the edge of a desert. And out in the desert is this sort of strip club, what's called a run-of-the-mill hand job and gas joint, gas station / low rent.
That's where I get my hand jobs from.
That's right. And this police chief, he's kind of power hungry. He wants to know what's going on. He doesn't understand why this is not part of his domain. And he's always on the lookout for these people to come into town to get supplies, to re-up on things because they're out in the middle of nowhere, but they never come in. So he starts sending men out there. When we joined the movie, he sent about 5 men out there, and none of them have returned. And he's also sent his girlfriend out there, and she has also not returned. So he calls in a favor, mysterious man on the phone, to get a special operative in. And so that's about where we pick up. Our special operative is this big, muscular, jacked, huge Arnold Schwarzenegger / The Rock guy with a mustache. And he comes in with his bald head, and he dons a bikini and heels, and he goes and he infiltrates these whores as one of their own. And he's immediately accepted. And when he gets there, he discovers a world that no one could have expected, that he didn't expect, that no one expected. It's a much larger, more complicated, ancient operation. And as he gets involved with them, he starts to wonder what side he should be playing for and what he's doing there and who's good and who's bad. So that's Cops vs. Horrors. Where it came from, so as we traveled around and we're doing adult stuff, we started going to what the hell's the convention called? The Adult Awards in Las Vegas every year.
Oh, the AVNs.
AVNs, yeah. So there's the awards show, and then there's the convention itself. And we would get free tickets from the sites we worked on and things like that. So we would go down there every year, and so we got to meet like this wide swath of people who do webcam and people who do traditional porn and everything in between. And those worlds are really different. The people who do webcam and the people who do traditional porn, could not be more different. Like the webcammers.
Do they get along? Does one not respect the other?
The porn people hate the webcam people.
Because it takes money out of their pockets.
Yeah, and they're just very different people. This information's old. I'm sure a lot of it's cross streams now as webcamming has gotten more mainstream and more popular. It's probably been, 6 or 7 years since I've been to one of these. But back then, at least, the webcammers were the upstarts. And the webcammers, are your librarian. There are people who don't like to go out. They don't like to socialize. They're homebodies. They are and the porn stars were the fucking cocaine drinking party all night, sex with everybody, just wild people. So yeah, no, not a lot of commingling, not a lot of getting along in those things. And you also had the old porn guys who were also really bitter because they used to print money, and now the money is really dispersed among a lot more people.
So pretty much like every other group that makes money with a product.
Yeah.
The second somebody starts to dip into your pockets, because you used to have to work to jerk off or find something to jerk off to.
Absolutely.
It was you gotta sneak into the little fucking news thing. I'm sorry, do you have the...
Or you get that JCPenney catalog.
Yeah, the best. Just jerking off to the fucking shoe pages.
Bras.
Oh my God.
Remember squirreling that one away?
Oh, that's fucking awesome. Yeah, and then it was you had your DVDs and and then it was streaming, and then it was just, because streaming was the first where it became more amateurs, right? Like the webcam days.
Yeah.
Not streaming, but webcams.
Webcam, yeah.
Now
That's where we
everybody
got
has it.
really
Everybody
started,
can put it out there on the internet for people to see.
Yep.
And that's where the OGs, as we'll call them,
and that's the world we came
started
out of.
to hate it.
And yeah, and so, but anyway, we got to meet all these different people, and I've always had this. I don't know if it's my face or what, but people will shortly after meeting me tell me all of their secrets. They'll just tell me their life story, and like my wife jokes about it all the time. Like we'll be sitting at a table with someone we just met, and then she'll leave for 5 minutes and come back, and I'll be like, "You want to hear what her dad did to her when she was 6?" Like it's like
one of those deals.
Yeah, like all this, like yeah. So I got to hear a lot of people's stories, and so I call Cops versus Whores the hose journey instead of the hero's journey. So to me, like the through line of it is like the nature of a lot of these women's like relationships with men, like kind of going from like one boyfriend to the next boyfriend and having it still be a terrible situation, but like maybe slightly better like on their scale, but still awful. And then it's a mix of like characters we met on the road and things like that. That's as deep as it gets. And then it's just my wife and I. We had to go out to Minnesota to be with her family while her father was very ill and like on his way to passing, and we went out there to be with them. And so we found ourselves with like more time on our hands than we were thinking about, you know, future projects, because we're always trying to just keep new things going, and because you never know when this is going to end. And since we had done the animated Cam Girl and everything like that, we were just kind of talking about it, and we had always talked about making a movie, and I've been wanting to make movies since I was a teenager. And it just occurred to me, like, I think we have everything we need. I think we could actually make one for like a few $1,000s, and we could put it out ourselves, and like I think we could do this. And so we just started kind of pitching ideas to each other, and then I started writing the script. And so beyond that one through line, it's just we wanted to make a movie that had like everything we love in movies and everything we think is funny and wild and crazy. And I also have like a personal love for like the kinds of movies that like in New York that like your buddy would bring you from a guy he bought on the street, and you'd pop into a DVD player, and like these sort of like cult classic things that get just passed around. And like I wanted to like make my contribution to that world and try to throw something in there that is definitely not for everybody, but if it's for you, you're gonna fucking love it. And
you know what? It's like this podcast, right? I was very excited. I got my first shitty prick comment online recently.
You're on your way.
And it was basically like, nobody listens to this shit. And so I just wrote back. I was like, thanks for listening. I appreciate the support. Like, motherfucker, you're listening to me. Yeah. But it was cool because I was like, yes, like somebody hates me. But then I realized it's the internet. They just wanted to be a dick. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not doing it for you. No. Like, I hope people enjoy every episode of this. And I know there's people I've gotten good feedback on me and good feedback on the guests and built like relationships that, you know, again, after this, I'm sure we'll stay in touch, but it's for me and it's for you. And it's for the two of us right now to do this thing the way we want to do it. And if somebody doesn't like it, I don't give a fuck. Like, I truly don't give a fuck. And I think that's the way anyone should approach something that they're passionate about.
Yeah. And
I want people to, but if they don't, it's not for everyone.
I think even if you take the biggest blockbuster in the world, like the most popular movie that ever existed, most people don't like it.
The more and more you see some of these movies and you're like, that's the fucking best picture.
Yeah.
Like, that movie sucked.
And even like a lot of people will like it, but most people will be indifferent or negative.
I feel people don't want to be the one person that says that movie sucked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But if you take the whole world, I mean, most people won't even know what it is. They won't know it exists, even the most famous movie in the world. And yeah, for me, like if I can make something, and to me it's like a 5-10 year idea, like if I can make it, put it out, keep talking about it, like if I can tell 50-60 million people about it, I'll find an audience that's big enough for like me to like feed my kids and make another movie. And that's like primo. Like, that's a dream come true for me. And
You know what?
and I fucking love this movie. I think it's so funny. I think it's so wild. I think it's I think the story's really good. I'm excited to get part 2 out there. Like, yeah, to me, I just try to write something that if I found it, I'd be stoked. And my wife and I sit around and crack up and watch it and
Good.
think it's a good time. And
Awesome.
I know,
at the end of the day, it's putting food in our family's mouth is all that matters. And if the things that we do feed our people, then we're doing something right, man. Because, not to get sappy here, when you look around the food or the world and you see people that don't have food, they don't have water, right? If we can do that much for the people we love, then, we're a step further ahead than most, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's so cool. I get to, with this stuff that's sitting on my desk and a few $1,000s with like my wife and my fucking buddy here, like we get to just sit here and make a feature film. Like, never saw that coming. Like, It's so cool. It's
it is very cool. And what I like the most, and I have weird compliments for people, and when on the outside, when you hear them, people are like, I used to say nerd a lot.
Okay.
As a recruiter, I recruit IT, and I'd just say nerds.
Okay.
Like, oh yeah, I was talking to this nerd, and somebody's like, it's kind of a dickhead thing to say about somebody. I was like, not a dickhead thing at all. It's a compliment.
Yeah.
And if you know nerds, they'll tell you they're nerds.
Yeah,
they'll tell you they're
absolutely.
geeks. And by the way, all those geeks are now
Running
the
the
people
world.
that have those B's in front of their dollar amounts in their bank. So, but and here's where I'm going with that is you're a sicko.
Oh yeah.
I think you're sick, and I love it. And you've got a sick wife, and you got a sick friend that sit there and support this goofy ass idea, which I can't wait to watch it. But the reason I bring that up is kind of what you said, or what I said about I don't give a shit deep down what people think. How's the response been for people who don't get it? Like maybe the family members and the friends that are like, you made a what?
Yeah. So as far as family goes, like I said, I don't talk to mine, so that's easy.
You're out. You ain't getting a copy.
Yeah.
Fuck you. You can pay retail.
My wife's family would never watch this shit. Never. My musician friend, his mom's cool. She watched it. She's like, not my cup of tea. I was like, all right, like she's a lovely person. I love her. Like,
but she was honest. Hey, it's not my thing.
Yeah, it's totally good. Like, zero problem for me. She was just like, yeah, not my cup of tea. I was like, all right. Most of my friends, the reaction, it's your friends and they're supposed to say nice things to you. But the reaction I got that I really liked was like, I can't believe how good that was. Like they were like so prepared to just suffer through it and go like, yeah, you did it. That they were like, and a few of them were like, dude, I fucking love that. Like, they were really excited about it and had a lot of fun. And then in terms of people outside of that, yeah, I get a lot of like, oh, it's fucked up, you're sick, whatever, but like kind of chuckling along at least. And then a few people who are just like, I don't get it. But as I grow it and I get more out there, I know there's going to be like a flood of negativity that comes with it. But that's like,
I think that's with anything you do, man.
Absolutely.
I like the way you describe it because I feel like your journey's in there somewhere. Like, I feel like the way you described where you've been and the things you've seen and the things you've done with your cameras and the traveling, it's just like just the initial conversation we were having. And then when we get into the movie, I'm already starting to piece together some of these things. And I think at the end of the day, it's like, if you want to make something funny, make it funny. But if you can get some dialogue and some interactions, because I think when we watch anything, you hear a relatable story from one character to another, or you see a character where you're like, I knew somebody like that. And it's finding that relatability within movies or songs or whatever it is where you go, I laughed and I thought that was good. I like that character. There's something there where it feels like you're putting a little more into it than just cops versus whores, which is the crazy catchy name, but there's something else there, and I can tell, and I'm excited to watch it. So you're in volume 1. And how many volumes they have planned, or you don't know yet? Do you leave it open-ended?
2. So the whole script is done. The whole script is done. The set design for everything is done. We put a ton of work in, and we got like halfway through, and I was like, this is a releasable story. Like, and I'm a big believer in like, you have to practice the things you have to do to make money as an independent creator, and promoting is part of that practice. And I'm like, I believe in releasing. So I was like, okay, like I'd like to release it as a whole movie, but I have something I can release. It's interesting. It's watchable. It has an arc. Like, if I put this out now, I can start promoting, and I can start practicing promoting, and I can start talking to people about it and get used to talking to people about it, and let people know about it. So I'm just going to do that, and then continue making the second half of the movie. Quentin Tarantino is like a big influence of mine, and I was like, if it's good enough for him with Kill Bill, it's good enough for me.
Yeah.
So
I love it. That's a good point.
Yeah. So we're doing the dialogue recording now, and we'll finish up all the dialogue recording and that audio piece while we still have like a house to work in, and then when we go on the road, we'll be doing it's called boondocking. It's like dry camping. There's a place down in the Arizona-California border where you can stay for 7 months out of the year. And so I'm building a whole solar rig and generator rig. So I'll bring all my equipment down there, and I'll finish all the animating while we're parked down there for about 7 months in September. And then it'll be out, and I'll be promoting that, and then starting a podcast that's like a different thing.
Cool. Very cool. I was going to ask what kind of things you had planned. I do think that you can get a lot of run out of this cops and horse thing, man. I think lunchboxes. I think like I'm thinking Spaceballs. If you've seen Spaceballs, where he opens up the store,
of course.
Spaceballs, the lunchbox.
Yeah.
I think I would love to see, one of my daughter's Stanley cups that are way overpriced with like cops on one side, whores on the other, and she takes it into 3rd grade, and we're like, sorry, we're gonna get in trouble over that one.
I would love it if people wanted merch. That would just tickle me. The merch, and I also want to get it in a theater at least once. Like, I have this vision of like, so do you know The Room? That movie?
Hold on. So that movie title is there. So there's 4 rooms, which I think was 4 different directors, right?
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Was The Room the one with the girl that was kidnapped and had the baby?
No, so The Room is like considered, it's popularly known as like the worst movie ever made.
Okay.
And there was a Hollywood movie a few years ago called The Disaster Artist, which was about the making of The Room, which was like, was it James Franco or the other one? His brother.
James Franco. I want to say it was James Franco. I'm familiar with the movie, and that's what I think it was.
Yeah, but this guy Tommy Wiseau, he self-funded this really bad movie, and then self-promoted it for years. And he was trying to make a drama. It people think of it as really funny, but when you go and see it in theaters, I saw it in a theater in New York City. It's a whole event. Like, people like shout along with it, know different parts, and they bring props to throw things at the screen during it, and like part of the charm of the movie. And he ended up embracing this, and he shows up to a lot of the screenings and like plays along with people, and it's this whole thing where he just like stuck with it for years and years and years, and eventually ended up making a profitable movie, and that is like beloved by, I don't know if it's millions, but lots and lots of people. This is like a very core thing that they share with their friends, and they get to go to theaters. So I have this vision someday of like people dressed up like cops and whores and yelling at each other and in the theater, and it being like, I hate seeing theaters dying. I think they deserve it a little bit, but I also hate to see it. And the idea of theaters as like an event space, as like a party with a movie, those are all my favorite movie experiences. Another one of my favorites was I saw Snakes on a Plane, like on just such a huge edible, and I saw it in New York City, and like, when the plane is like coming down and like almost crashing and like righted itself, like the whole theater like stood up and applauded and like was just like really loose and into it and yelling at the screen the whole time. Like, I just love that whole vibe. And
Well, you know what you're getting into, right?
Yeah.
You're going to see a fucking movie called Snakes on a Plane.
yeah,
And Samuel L. Jackson's in it. You know you're going to hear motherfucker a lot. And
Yep.
so you're like, let's embrace what this is.
Yeah.
So The Room is one I want to see then because it sounds so awful, but even just the way you describe it, there's got to be something that's like, because I've seen movies that suck and I don't want to see them again. This sounds like one that, quite frankly, isn't that good, but there's likable things about it.
yeah. I don't know. Just sitting and watching it by yourself. I don't know. If you don't have the,
Well, we're going to find out.
if you don't have the lore to go with it, yeah, I wonder. You'll have to let me know.
Well, I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot.
But Tommy Wiseau, anyone who knows is gonna think like I'm, I don't know, an idiot for like looking up to Tommy Wiseau. But I'm like, okay, I want to make money doing movies. Like, this guy showed even back then, like, if you're willing to just like never quit on it, like, don't quit on it. Like, I joke with my wife all the time. I'm like, okay, if this is a retarded movie, it's like, it's my retarded baby now. I gotta love it.
There you go. Well, you know, it's like, what's a loser? A loser, I think, is somebody who quits. I think
Yeah.
a loser accepts defeat, but losing isn't about the score. Like, or being a loser isn't about the score of the game or whatever cheesy reference you want to use. If you did something, stand by the work you did. Stand by it. This is my baby. This is my retarded baby. I'm running with it. Like it or don't like it. And again, there's something likable about that where you root for that person.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah. And,
Yep.
you know, I know my people are out there. I know the people who are going to love this movie are out there. So
I'm one of them before I even see it.
Oh, great. Have you gotten a copy yet? Did my wife
not
send
yet.
it to you? Oh,
Not
okay.
yet. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll check my email. I need to be better at that, but I'll check. But I may not have. Last I checked, I did not.
I'll make sure you get it.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it. And,
Yeah. It's, yeah. So if you're listening to this and Cops versus Whores, crazy, wild, silly sounds up your alley, we try to name it and describe it in such a way where if you think it's for you, it's for you.
Yeah. Well, it's the way you did that is perfect because, again, you sort of know what you're getting into. Yeah. Pretty descriptive there. You mentioned some other projects that you're working on. You said podcasts, but it was something else. Is there anything else obviously we got Volume 2 coming out.
Yeah, Volume 2 will probably be out in about a year, maybe 7 months to a year. And then, the podcast is just in the works. When we're going out on the road here, I'm planning on doing, it's called Dirty Folk Reports from the American West. My idea is to just do semi-anonymous or anonymous interviews with people who are out and spread out and living in the American West.
I love it.
Just get their stories. So I'm looking to start every episode asking people, like, what's the meaning of life? Just to get them in a place of thinking about their whole life and what brought them to that moment, and try to just pull people's stories out there and give them that semi-anonymity or full anonymity so that they can talk. As we've traveled around, we've met a lot of people who are on the run. We've met a lot of people who just have like really checkered past, different things that bring them to these places that are basically empty. Almost no one's out there for no reason.
Yeah, good point.
So, I see a lot of people do sort of travel blog. I think people do plenty of that, of like, this is how we survive on the road, and this is how van life and RV life and things like that. And I'm interested in trying to get the stories of the people who are out there. So that's
a little honesty, because I think, when you think about like, that person, that's the perfect family. Maybe they're not. Maybe there's a drinking problem. Maybe there's a drug problem. Maybe there's an abuse problem. Maybe there's a lot of things that go on behind those doors that they give the appearance of perfect, but they're not.
Yeah.
And I think the more you explore family dynamics and you explore people, you realize we're all flawed. We all have things that we're ashamed of, things that we won't tell anyone, things that, and I think that in essence, I think coming to terms with whatever it is, I think that is as close to perfect as you can get, where you're kind of honest and you look in the mirror. And I can tell you just the way you describe that, you signed me up for that when that bad boy is released, because again, what am I doing right now? Got an email from you. You're on the podcast. I'm enjoying this conversation. And I naturally I think I gravitate towards just honesty, just people just like, hey, this is my story.
Yeah.
Here's where I'm at. Here's why I'm here. And here's maybe what I do different, or I wouldn't change anything. So I think it's a good idea.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm excited to do it. It's it feels right, and it's it's looking back on our time on the road, it was my personal favorite piece of the road, was meeting all these people, and like I said, people will tell me their stories, and like hearing those stories and hearing just like all the different ways people get to where they are, and like the range of things people go through, and what breaks people and what doesn't break people. Like, I have met people with the most horrifying stories in the world who are like so happy and so successful and just come from nightmares. And I've met people who come from those nightmares and are just propagating those nightmares. They're just a part of it still, and delivering that to new people. And I don't have any answers, and like, I'm not looking to give answers. It's just that information in itself fascinates me. And along with like the things people thought, like regrets and things they did wrong, I'm also fascinated by the surprising things that people feel like they did right, like the moments that they feel like they got right, the moments like even in like a life of like maybe bad decisions or even evil sometimes, the things that they think they did well, or that they like nailed, or that they're proud of, or that they accomplished. Because when you dig into people's accomplishments that they actually hold dear, not their resumes, but like the things that matter the most to them.
The things that matter, yeah, because my resume is full of shit. It's just like, this is what somebody else wants to see. Here's what I would put on this piece of paper if I was allowed to speak freely.
Yeah. So hopefully I can get these people to come on, and hopefully I can do it. We'll see. But yeah,
I know you can do it. I know you can do it, and you have one loyal listener right off the bat.
I appreciate that.
You know, like I said, do it the right way and be genuine with the people. And I think that people just want to be heard, and people have stories they want to tell. I think it's in how you approach them with, hey, I'd like to hear a little bit about you. I think that if you do it the right way, which I know you will, people will just pour their guts out, and you're just going to get gold. And so very excited for that. So I'll tell you what, man, let's get going here one final time. Tell everyone where they can find you, and give us socials. And I will list all of these in the show notes, and definitely do some plugs for you, because I'm really excited for all of this. But give it to us one more time, man. Where can we find everything?
Sure. It's Cops vs. Horrors. Volume 1's out right now. You can get it at copsversushorrors.com. Any reasonable way you spell that will work.
I'm going to try different ones.
Yeah. It's $8 in there. There's a Substack that is called Cops vs. Horrors as well. You can sign up at the website. You can sign up for it. And I think still, if you go into like the last post, I think there's a promo code in there for half off. I think there's still a handful of those available. So if you're hearing this and you move quick, you can get it for $4 instead of $8. If you watch it and you have feedback of any kind, good, bad, indifferent, I'll take detailed bad reviews as well, because a lot of those sell me on movies. When I read someone's negative opinion about a movie, I'm like, oh, that has everything I love in it.
That sounds amazing. What the hell is that 1 star for?
Yeah. So give them to me. Send them this way. And and you can sign up for the email list to hear about Volume 2. And I'm sure I will tell that email list as well when this podcast gets up and running, when we hit the road come September. But
cool. Any socials or anything like that? Any Instagram, Facebook, any of that stuff?
We have them. I'm not really active on there, so you can email me from the website.
Old school. I love it.
I guess I would see it if you wrote to me on socials, probably. But
who knows?
I'm real bad about it. For like 3 weeks, I was like, I'm doing this, and I was like, no, I'm not. I would tell you what, I enjoy getting things out there. Like I said, I'm going to create clips of this. I do it with all my shows. I love getting it out there. I hate the process of getting it out there, because I'm not a big social media person. Yeah. But I acknowledge that other people are. And it's like, that's the one part of this that I don't love. Yeah. I
don't want to be on the phone, and then you get sucked into that black hole, and you're like, fuck, it's 4 a.m. I'm sitting here staring at a fucking phone. I should be asleep.
That's why I'm doing the podcast thing. This I like. I like podcasts. I like doing this.
Is good.
I like talking. My wife is on social stuff, though. Harper the Fox. You can find her there.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
And she's very active, and you could get me through there if you wanted to, or talk to her.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping on by. Like I said, we'll get you all set up, get everyone over to you, and yeah, man, check this movie out. I'm excited, and I promise you, I will give you some honest feedback. So
I would appreciate it.
Thanks for stopping by. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll chat with you soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. All right, buddy. Bye.
Bye.